Hinduism is the oldest living religion in the world and the third largest. More than 1 billion Hindus live in 150 different countries, mostly in India. The United States alone is home to over 2 million Hindus. Origins of Hinduism. To find the distant beginnings of Hinduism, we have to go back over 6,000 years to the Saraswati-Indus region of the Indian subcontinent. This vast area extends from Sri Lanka in the south to the Himalayan mountains in the north, from the Arabian Sea in the west to the Bay of Bengal in the east. The Saraswati-Indus civilization developed here, eventually becoming the world's largest and most advanced, surpassing even those of Egypt, Mesopotamia, and China. The civilization is named after the area's two great river systems, the Saraswati and the Indus. It is called the Vedic culture after the earliest Hindu sacred text. It is also known as the Harappan culture after the site of its first discovery in 1920. This was an urban culture centered around many highly organized cities, some with populations of 80,000, which was rare in those days. The cities were connected by trade routes which extended west to Mesopotamia and east to Central Asia. 5,000 years later, archaeologists discovered pottery, seals, statues, beads, jewelry, tools, toys, miniature carts, and dice, all of which hint at what life was like at the source of the civilization that has evolved into modern-day India. The flat stone seals have writing on them and images of deities, ceremonies, symbols, people, plants, and animals. Even though writing was widespread among the people, we have not deciphered it yet. From these artifacts, we learn that certain religious and cultural practices were identical to those followed by Hindus today. One seal shows a meditating figure that scholars link to Lord Shiva, while others show the lotus posture used today in Hatha Yoga. Other discoveries connect the far past with today, including swastikas, statues of the Mother Goddess, worship of the Shiva Lingam, fire altars that show the ceremonial practice of Vedic people who are also known as Aryans, sacred baths, priests, sacred animals, and symbolism in the performing arts. You must be familiar with the traditional greeting, Namaste. Here is a small clay statue portraying the same. And this statue shows a woman with red powder in the part of her hair. Married women even today observe this same custom. As the Saraswati-Indus culture declined when the river dried up around 2000 BCE, many people migrated to more fertile places in eastern and central India, especially along the river Ganga and also beyond the subcontinent. Hindu scriptures. The four Vedas, the central holy books of Hinduism, were composed in Sanskrit starting at least 6,000 years ago. The Rig Veda, the earliest of the four, speaks repeatedly of the Saraswati, describing it as the most mighty of rivers, flowing from the Himalayan mountains to the sea. Thus, we know that a large part of this sacred text was composed well before 2000 BCE, by which time the river had dried up. Vedic hymns praise God, gods, and goddesses and describe a powerful and spiritual people, their clans, kings and emperors, fights and battles. Their sophisticated economy included agriculture, industry, trade, commerce, and cattle raising. Vedas call the country Sapta Sindhu, meaning the land of 7 rivers. The words Hindu and India both come from the Sanskrit word Sindhu, which means river. These Vedic hymns describe a form of fire worship, yajna, performed around a specially built altar. Archaeologists have unearthed such altars in several Saraswati Indus cities. Hindus still perform fire worship in this form. Originally, these thousands of hymns were not written down but memorized. Even today, there are priests who can chant from memory as many as 10,500 verses, which takes 50 hours. There are dozens of other sacred texts that Hindus revere, including the Puranas and the writings of illumined sages. The epics Ramayana and the Mahabharata are traditional histories of India and storehouses of Hindu heritage. The Ramayana is a story of Lord Rama, 7th incarnation or avatar of Lord Vishnu and his divine wife, Sita. The Mahabharata is the world's longest epic. It is about a massive war in ancient India between cousins fighting for the throne of a great kingdom. A central episode called the Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue between Commander Arjuna and Lord Krishna, the 8th incarnation of Vishnu, on the day of the battle. The Mahabharata remains one of the most widespread scriptures in the world with its dominant message of justice. Hindu sacred music, dance, drama, and the arts draw heavily on these two literary epics. The Hindu society. By 600 BCE, the social, religious, and philosophical ideas and practices central to Hinduism today were fully evident, having emerged from the Indus-Saraswati culture, the Vedas, Dravidian culture, and the tribal religions. A distinctive feature of society was the Varna or class system. People were classified into groups with specific occupations. Parents taught their skills to their children from a young age, providing a strong grounding in their profession or trade. These groups eventually became hereditary. Priests, warriors, merchants, and workers, including craftsmen and farmers. However, this class system did not include the various forest tribes. It also did not include small communities considered untouchable because their occupations were unclean, such as the cremation ground chandalas, scavengers, and leather workers. This system gave identity to the kinship groups and gave all citizens a sense of belonging, greater social order, and stability. The socially cohesive contributions of caste continue to play a key role in economic, social, and political life, most visibly in marriages and elections. Life in ancient times was hard work for both men and women. Women were responsible for running the household, while men for looking after their craft, farm, and family security. In general, women participated equally in religious ceremonies, festivities, and social relationships. Some of the foremost religious and political leaders in India's history have been women. Some even composed Vedic hymns. The period from 1000 BCE through the Gupta period, ending in the mid-6th century CE, was a time of great scientific and mathematical advancement. Hindus developed the counting system we use today, including the mathematical concepts of zero and decimals. Indian astronomers knew that the Earth orbits the Sun, and they calculated the length of a year with amazing precision. Medicine was so advanced that doctors were performing complex surgeries not equaled in Europe until the 18th century. India was the foremost supplier of steel to the world. In 400 CE, its foundries created an iron pillar which even stands today and has never rusted. Modern science cannot equal this feat. For thousands of years, India has been home to 1/4 of the human family. It has been honored as a nation of wealth and wisdom, and, of course, it is famous today as the world's largest democracy.